And the sooner you say like, wow, I'm not being my best self.
Yeah.
Are you being your best self?
Yeah.
No. All right, well then the sooner you can fess up to that and then be like, okay, we need help.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Love Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Byars. I am so excited to welcome my next guest to the show today. Tarah and EJ Kerwin are dedicated to transforming couples' lives through meaningful connection and support. They've built not one, but 2 companies with their second Relationship Renovation coaching consulting and media, offering coaching sessions to couples worldwide through innovative Relationship Renovation at Home program. Their goal is to provide real tools for couples to thrive no matter where they are. It was such an inspiring conversation how Tarah and EJ talked about relationships and how we can all have an opportunity to repair our relationships. And sometimes all we need are the tools to find our way back to one another and create even a deeper connection than we've ever had before. I am so excited for you to hear this conversation. And remember, stick around for the tip of the week at the end of the show.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. I'm Charlene Byars, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Well, hello, Tarah and EJ. I am so excited. I'm really seriously. I have been stalking you two and the work that you guys are doing and your story and how you guys really help people. First of all, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's great to be here.
It's so nice to be here and meet you in
It's
person.
amazing. It's amazing the work that you're doing and how you guys help couples. And I know that they just heard your professional bio, but I'm going to, ask you guys a couple questions about how did you guys even start, what you're doing and how did that get started? But before we even go there, this is what I want to do a little rapid fire here. Okay? Here we go. Go. So first of all, how did you two meet?
We worked together at an eating disorder facility. And I was just saying this last night. I was like, the first time I saw her walk in, I was just like blown away. And we were just friends for a long time, but she was just like radiant and just was like a bright star from the moment I saw her.
Okay, so you guys are working together.
We work together.
So you're working together, you're working, doing your thing, and then you see this beautiful woman,
Yes.
You're like, wow.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of him?
I mean, it's so interesting because when EJ and I were working together, he was married with 2 kids, and they would come in to like the center, and I got to meet his kids. And I remember thinking and even saying like, I want to marry someone just like EJ. He's so cool.
Wow.
I'm not joking. I told him that like in that first week because he just was the cool.
Well, you didn't tell me that. You told me later that you said that. Because, I mean, we were just like friends. It was nothing inappropriate, colleagues.
We both specialized in eating disorders, and I would see him do like outdoor therapy with adolescents struggling with anorexia and bulimia. And I was like, he was just amazing. He's an amazing therapist, amazing human. He was an awesome dad. And so, but never in my wildest dreams ever did I think we would end up together.
No, okay, because you guys were work colleagues,
I just
right?
thought he was a cool dude.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you thought he was a cool dude. So you were married at the time, and then what about you?
I was in a relationship with someone I had moved to Tucson for. So I originally was in California. That's where I was licensed. And then I had met him. And so I moved out to Tucson to kind of get my specialty credential.
Okay.
So I was only supposed to be there for like a year and a half.
Okay. So
and then
you're
go
going,
back to Cali.
Okay. So
and then this guy happened.
Okay, and then he happens, right? Yeah, I got you. Okay, so tell the listeners exactly what it is that you do.
I mean, we founded a counseling center. Originally it was just the two of us. We decided because we fell madly in love, had an amazing sort of year and a half or so together. And then Tara went from 0 to 4 kids in 18 months because she got pregnant on our honeymoon.
Okay.
And things just unraveled very quickly. And Tara called me one morning. You want to tell them that?
Sure. So, I've been a marriage therapist for over 20 years.
Okay.
And EJ licensed professional counselor. So we're already in the business.
You're in the business of,
I had a private practice outside of the Eating Disorder Center doing couples work because I've always loved it. I've known I wanted to do that.
Okay.
And so when EJ and I got married and I got pregnant with twins and went to from 0 to 4 kids, I literally was like in the minivan we had to buy, driving out like I'm over. I did not sign up for this. I am done. I'm going home to my twin sister in Kentucky. I'm out of here. And then I would like go and I would start crying in this minivan because the twins had to be nursed.
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, EJ, no, I know I love you. I know I love you, but.
Right.
And so we just kept having these moments of pure exhaustion and disconnection. And I said, EJ, when we figure this out, we have to help other couples in the community because if 2 therapists who loved each other, who had awesome skills are having this difficult of a time with a blended family and twins. And so we took almost 2 years because the twins were born in 2014, developed a whole method, the Relationship Renovation method. It takes about 4 to 6 months to complete. And we opened up our Relationship Renovation Counseling Center where EJ and I were co-facilitating all of our couple sessions. And then we got on like almost a year wait list. Like couples were waiting a year. And we know couples can't wait a year. So in 2020, we were like, we can train other therapists in this.
Well, and it helped because we had created a workbook and like we had like a way that we were doing it.
The process that you guys
exactly.
Okay.
So then it made it easier to start bringing therapists in. But we were always like, hey, we want you to still be like yourself. We want to be whatever strength you have as a therapist, but we just want you to kind of stick with this structure. And the therapists loved it. We were relieved that the success that we had with couples, our therapists started having that as well.
So you guys actually created like an actual real and powerful method.
It was a model that we had no idea how successful it would be. And now we have 15 therapists at our center, open 7 days a week. Wow. Couples all the time, everywhere from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Wow.
And we have like, again, it's like, some couples it might take them 6 months to finish.
Yes.
Some couples 2 years, it doesn't matter. But healing is abundant at our center. Yeah. And it came from that place. Yeah. I was crying and I said, EJ, we have to help others, but we have to help ourselves first. So
you guys have to go there first. Okay, let's take me back then a little bit. Okay, so then you guys, you meet though. You guys are working, like you said. You were married at the time, and then you had how many kids did you have at the time?
I had two boys. They were like 2 and 3 when we got married. They were 2 and 3.
Okay, they were 5 and 3 when we got
married. So you guys are working. You had a boyfriend, kind of doing your thing, doing the thing. What shifted?
I mean, what changed was it wasn't a good marriage. It had been kind of unraveling for quite some time. And I run a boys camp too. And I was back in Maine and I knew it was ending. And we just started talking on the phone and she was going through a little bit of a difficult time as well. And we were just talking. It was just great to have a friend because we had hung out at work, at lunches and stuff. And we just, we were just great friends. And then I came home from...
Well, I have to share this story. Yeah. So one of his friends that we had worked with was like, would you ever date EJ? And I said, no.
No. Oh, you said that? No.
I said, no. There's no way. Like, we are totally opposite. He's not the type I usually date. He's just going through a divorce.
His stuff. He's a nice guy, but yeah.
No. So anyway, so I was going to be his wing sister when he came back from Maine. And so I organized a bunch of us colleagues to all go out. And like I was going to be his wing sister and find him like a rebound.
You were thinking, okay, I'm
not joking. And that night he kissed me, and we have not been apart since. Yeah. And that was in 2010. 2010?
2010, yeah, 2010.
2011. Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, because girl, he had some different ideas with you. He was like, I don't think so.
I just didn't see it. But then, like, it wasn't, I mean, EJ was so different from anyone I've ever dated. But his, like, everything about him, his emotional intelligence, the way I felt, like, because I tried not to date him. I'm like, oh, you gotta, I even said you gotta go date other people.
Right.
Like, so
She
you're
kicked
wild.
me out of her apartment once.
She did the whole thing. The whole thing.
I did the whole thing.
Lady.
Me and all
I did
my...
the whole thing. And then I just remember one morning I was like, I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
moving
it.
back
This
to
is
California.
it. Yeah,
I don't want to
this
do
is
this.
it.
I'm really scared. And I woke up the next morning and I mean, I'm 30. I was 37 or 36 at the time.
Okay.
And I'd never felt this. And I'd been in love. I'm a good picker of guys.
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to do life without EJ. Wow. It just happened. I mean, I don't know if that was God. I don't know what that was.
Well, and I
I called him and I said, I'm so sorry that I kicked you out last night.
You did. Okay.
Will
What were you
come back?
thinking? Were you like, oh my goodness?
I mean, I was just shocked because I had just met her family, so I was just like, I knew something was going on. I knew she got triggered or something, and so I wasn't going to argue with her. I was just like, okay, well, I'll go home. And I think another part of the story for us was also that, like, I had some boundaries maybe with you that other guys maybe
I could very
would have
easily
taken
manipulate
stuff.
other men.
She was good, and she would be like, because
Not in a conscious
Tara gets a
moment.
No,
lot.
I know, but yeah, I got it.
She got a lot of male attention always,
Yeah.
and
Well, look at her.
yeah, exactly. She's gorgeous, and there were a couple times where she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go with this guy here. I'm gonna do this," and I was like, "Well, I mean, okay, you can do that, but then we're not dating.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what dating is. Dating isn't." Because one time she was like, "This guy's like, he's gonna take me to Japan for the week." I was like, "I'll be back in a week," and I was like, "Well." I mean, we're not dating if you go back.
Yeah,
come
you're like,
back
that doesn't make any
in a
sense.
week. Yeah. And I think you
I
maybe kind of
respected
liked
your
it.
confidence and your boundaries a lot. Even though you were going through.
Yeah, and I had my own shit too. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
I
Yeah.
totally had my stuff.
Yeah.
That breakup wasn't great. We had kids, so it was like
You had the kids, you had to
it was
go navigate through that.
It was complicated. But we also, and what was part of what made it hard when we then had our own kids together was we for like a year and a half had, half the time just us because my kids would go be with their mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'd have weekends and we'd go to Sedona and we'd
have time.
go up to the mountains and we'd have this time and it was just like super fun.
Yeah, it wasn't like a blended family feel. It was
Yes.
like, 50% of the time
And
we
then-
to hang out with these
And
awesome.
then that went away once we had kids.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay.
Yes,
So
yeah.
so this is what I'm hearing. So you guys, you fell in love, but you weren't, in a way that you weren't expecting. Because
In a way
you
we
guys
weren't
knew each other,
expecting, yeah.
and it was one of those things
Yeah.
that the stars aligned and God was like, and it just
Yeah.
came together.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 36. EJ had I hope this isn't TMI, vasectomy from his previous
Okay.
marriage. I was like,
Okay.
cool. I never.
You're like, this is good. So you weren't expecting to have children yourself?
No,
Okay.
not at all. And I have a twin sister who she has wanted buns in the oven since she was like 20. So I
Really?
was like, is there something wrong with me? But it was never. I just wanted to know it was like right timing, and I had
Okay.
never met that person that I felt like, this is my.
But then once we decided to get married, then you kind of were like, maybe we should see if we can.
Okay.
So I got the whole
reverse
go the other way.
vasectomy.
Okay, so when you guys were falling in love, how long was your courtship
Before we got married.
that you got married?
A year and a half.
Okay, yeah,
It
about
was
a year and a
very,
half. Yeah.
fairly quickly.
was
So
pretty
we
quick.
got engaged, and that's when EJ's like, do you want me to have the reverse vasectomy? And I was like, sure.
Like, sure.
It took my twin sister like
not?
years to conceive. I'm like, it's not even going to happen. So he literally had it done right before our wedding day, and then we went on our honeymoon in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
It
and I
worked.
literally came back, and I was
No.
pregnant.
No. No.
And then I went to go get like the
No.
ultrasound, and they're like, there's two in there.
No.
And I said, excuse me?
You guys are like, what just
Yeah.
happened? Oh, see, this
Yeah.
was meant. This was meant to
Yeah.
be.
So they
I
were
was-
just
oh.
ready to be in our universe, but we just never. It was like those. Even when
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
pregnant for those 8 months, we still had a great time, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait for them to, like, be here."
And this was like the beginning of life getting complicated because
Yeah.
then it was like, twins, blended family. And then there was something that happened at the hospital
What?
where like one of the nurses had some communicable disease or something.
Okay.
We got
I
exposed
forget what,
to it.
exposed to like TB or something like that.
was
And so the twins had to go on antibiotics, like really strong
When
antibiotics.
they're born.
And
5 pounds
we
Okay.
kind of pieced this together later. It just screwed up their stomachs. And so they had colic for 9 months. And they literally, both of them,
Did not
were
sleep.
inconsolable, didn't sleep,
They both
cried,
had it.
horrible for like 9 full months.
And so I just nursed every hour. So I would literally go 5 days without sleep. I had horrible postpartum. I was praying that my pediatrician would say, you can supplement. He's like, no, just you keep doing what you're doing.
It's
and I was
working.
like,
It's fine.
I was like, but I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Internally, like I'm gonna die. But and then people would judge you if you were like even thinking about supplementing because they just were always on me. They always were hungry, always. Like
Always
you
were
could
hungry.
not soothe them.
And it
So
was-
then I was like, I'm being punished for every bad thing I've ever done. Like this is a
You're
punishment.
like, this is a lot.
That's
and you know
what
what?
I
And me,
thought.
and so I just want to say this for the listeners right now. So in general, having children is a lot. It's to me, obviously the most rewarding thing ever. But even all that, it's a lot. It's a major life change. And being a mom of having what we call in the twin world, I had 2 singletons. So I already had 2 children prior to having my twins. So I really also felt myself, I got this.
Yes.
I'm a professional, but
it's exponential.
oh my goodness.
Oh my God, there's-
When my babies came, my world completely changed because the demand on having multiples is huge.
Yeah.
And there's some major stresses in marriages.
Yeah.
And one of them is multiples. And there's people, and I know that you guys are doing the work you're doing to help people, when it comes to relationships and marriage and all the good stuff. But that's one that actually breaks a marriage. I was really taken back and surprised because really I would think that they're like, no, that is something that can actually really affect the marriage because of the demand.
Yeah, it's
The
not double the
demand.
joy.
No, it's double the work.
It's double. And I thought because EJ had 2 kids, because I had never even changed a diaper. Like, never.
So you're coming in.
And here I am, like almost 38, and so I was like, EJ's got this, but he didn't. And I didn't even know what the term colic meant. Like,
And I think it was the beginning of one of the things like we helped so many couples with was it
Tell
was
us.
so stressful, and then also in this half of the time she had not just those 2 colicky twins, but she had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, my sons.
That's right.
Then I picked up her caseload, so I was working, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and it was the beginning of like serious resentment. That like every time I walked in the door, it was like she hated me.
it's
And
true.
it's something that we've been untangling for years, and that's what also couples face is like when things get complex, you start looking at that other person and you're like, this is
Your fault.
your
Let's
fault.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So people that are listening right now and they are listening to this, let's talk first about the ones that are married. Because we have people, listeners that are married and not married.
Yeah.
Okay. For the listeners, and they are really resonating with this. Let's say they're in a season right now themselves that they are having resentment, that things are just really tough. It's a lot. Girlfriend, again, my hats, I understand, a mama of twins.
Yeah.
I honestly felt for the first 3 years,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my other 2 kids. I feel embarrassed saying that.
Yeah.
I apologize to them to this day. I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys. They're like, Mom, it's okay. And they're boys. They're like, it's fine.
whatever.
Mom. Whatever. Mom, we're good. We're good. But I've been seriously for the first 3 years, I didn't know what was going on. So let's talk about that. So couples that are listening to this,
You okay?
and couples that are listening to this, and they're like, wow,
Yeah.
I really, really am getting this.
Yeah.
What is a shift, or what is something that you guys want to say to them?
For me, I had no idea how prepared you have to be for transitions.
Okay.
And that it's skills. It's not like I just thought, we're really good and we're great therapists. And like we have great communication. Like nothing prepared me for that transition where the level of overwhelm or expectations that we never even talked about or assumptions like he's got this, he's done this before. And so think that transitions, like we're not prepared for them, whether it's a move or children or even marriage. Like I think people take for granted that like it's just good now.
Okay.
And that it is so much skill building. And that I do wish couples would seek out like services sooner than a crisis, because the couples that come in to see us, like 80% of them are like, this is our last resort.
They're at the crisis.
Which is great. We can help them and they get through it and it's awesome. But like, I would love it if people didn't wait that long in order to learn like, you know, just transition skills and just skills of navigating how to deal with uncomfortable moments.
I mean, and I think before you can, why they wait to that place is like things have to come to this like cathartic moment where one person is literally almost leaving.
Yep.
And I think a big part of that is like, we would want couples to know that they're not alone. Like that literally, you know, you're saying you went through it.
Yes.
You know, we've gone through it. We've seen hundreds, thousands of couples at our center who've gone through it, and that it's absolutely normal. But when you're in it, you look around you and everybody else seems like their life is glorious, and you're the only one
You
who's
really
like,
do.
and
That
so
is
you
so
don't want to
true.
tell. So you don't want to tell anybody, and you don't want to
Yes.
even admit it to yourself that
Yes.
like I
like a
am going
guilt.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm acting like, I mean, I acted like a jerk. I won't talk for Tara, but like, you know, like we weren't nice to each other.
Yeah.
And when you're in that, it's like, you don't want to admit it, you know? And I think that like the first thing is looking at people and saying, this is absolutely normal. And I mean, who knows what the percentage is, but it's got to be incredibly high that people go through dark periods in their relationship.
Yeah.
And the sooner you say like, wow, I'm not being my best self.
Yeah.
Are you being your best self?
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, then the sooner you can fess up to that and then be like, okay, we need help.
Yeah.
Because that's when you can get a skill. That's when you can get an insight. But if you're not willing to like really look at it, it's hard to even begin.
But the research is that couples wait 7 to 10 years of being in massive distress before seeking anything. 7 to 10 years. Imagine feeling like disempowered. I mean, I felt it for a year and I was like, EJ, we've got to do something about this. But couples will stay in it because it's not as bad for 7 to 10 years. Yeah.
You're looking at her.
Yeah.
It's irreparable sometimes.
It is.
At that
So
point, which is sad.
wow, this is really relating to me.
Yeah.
Everything changed for me too. It was one of my biggest joys having my twins, and they just turned 18 and I'm just so happy, and I just love being a mom. And one of the things that I truly, genuinely started this podcast is to have these conversations, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I looked back at I'm very happily married now. I really am. It's amazing. But I look back at my marriage and I really thought it was the chaos, and I really thought it was this, and I really thought it was that. And I left this marriage, and now I can look back and say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could have made that work, you know? And that's why I'm so grateful that you guys are having this conversation and being so raw and so real, and how you guys are helping people, because I really, truly believe this with all my heart. You can be in a marriage and things can be really, really hard. I have a question for you too. And things can get really, really hard. But it doesn't mean that it has to stay that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's over. Yeah. And I do believe that there's some marriages that are it's just, there's no fixing. I get that. I get that. There's there's certain marriages that, it's not going to work. Yeah. But for the most part, this can actually work. So I want to ask you guys this. So you guys went through this season of falling in love. Things were amazing. Things are great. And you're really connecting. And then you have the babies. Life, you are exhausted. You're exhausted. Everyone is just feeling resentment, feeling like, oh my goodness, what did we do? This is so much. And it had nothing to do with the babies in the sense of like, I know you guys were grateful, all that kind of stuff. But it was just a lot. Again, I get it. Yeah. What did that do for you guys in the sense of just your pure empowerment for yourself and being so depleted? How did you get through that?
I mean, I think in a lot of ways, for me, like the gift was that we decided to work with couples, because then what it meant was that we were and still are constantly doing the work, and that we really believe in certain things. One of them being that your partner triggers your deepest sort of wounds.
Yeah.
And that together we can become our best selves, and that I'm going to do my best not to blame Tara for the uncomfortable feelings that happen, and she's going to do the same, and that is what got us through it, 12 years ago, and it's what continues to get us through it, is that like we're doing the work, we're trying to understand ourselves, we're trying to be empathetic and caring when really what we want to do is be total jerks to one another, or shut each other out, or make the other person feel like crap.
Our occupations hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. I'm a marriage therapist.
Yeah, how can we?
I'm telling you, if I had any other occupation, I don't think I could have stayed. I really don't.
You wouldn't have been so motivated to really.
I don't think we would have had
out.
the tools. Like,
The
I don't
tools.
think we would have.
I literally would have drove to Kentucky in that minivan. I really would have, but there was something holding me back. Like there's something, because I know that EJ's this beautiful human that I loved like 2 months ago. loved. And now he's a monster. And like, and then I realized like, never in my life have I ever been so overwhelmed. I've done a great job at keeping overwhelm away from me, because I had so much trauma when I was growing up that I was good at leaving if things got uncomfortable. I'm like, see you later, because I can't.
Bye. Yep.
And now I'm like, this is happening. Like, God's giving me this because I can handle a lot, because I'm a really resilient spirit. And so I kind of went inward, like, I've handled a lot since I was a really little girl. I can handle this. And what is EJ here to teach me? So like one of the first things we did is put in our lobby, our partner is our greatest teacher, be patient for the lessons. And we're still growing. Like we just had an argument yesterday. Yeah. I'm like, yay, he doesn't like it. He still avoided it. I'm like, but look at how much we learned from this.
Yes.
And I think that's why couples trusted us in the beginning. Like we were like throwing it out there. Let's create this model, and through an attachment lens, like very attachment theory based. And let's just see if it works. But I think couples loved that we had our own.
Well, I think the podcast was also a huge part for us, because in therapy as therapists, you got to kind of keep your stuff on this side of the couch. Yeah. But our podcast has always been the place where we can really like let our walls down, and we can like open up in ways. I mean, it's forced us to have an hour to 3 hours every single Friday of talking about like, okay, we're going to talk about how to manage conflict better. And it always comes back to like, well, I know this is what I screwed up. I mean, this is what I know. As soon as I saw that you were emotionally uncomfortable, I wanted to go out the back door. Yeah. And I was wanted to get away from all of that emotion, and I had to learn a lot of stuff around like, it's okay to be around big emotions. It's okay to feel things. I gotta like I can't mistake like meditation for avoidance.
I'm telling you,
I was like the king of that.
I called him a Buddhist mother effer.
Yeah.
I was like,
he's like, what is he doing now?
That you've got feelings under there. I mean, because he literally did not even recognize his own level of avoidance. And so through our ton of work that we've done, he would be like, maybe there is something to this. Maybe it's not that I'm just this mindful being.
And then it's not just like, oh, I had this realization. Then it's like, okay, what do I do with that?
Right.
Like, how do I figure out how to be comfortable with like, Tara has big emotions. She always had, she always will. And what do I do when she has those big emotions? I was because one of the things we had early on was I was even uncomfortable with her big love.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's sad because it's been a long time for her to get back to the big love because she shut it off. She put it away. She was like, if you're not able to accept my big love, then I just won't give it to you anymore. And it's been a real, it's a work in progress of getting back to that place again.
To getting that back to the place. Well, let me ask you this. So if we're listening and we're like, wow,
we need to start. I would love to start. I would love to have some different awareness and start. Where did they start?
Oh my. Okay, before we even decided to open up a counseling center and develop our own approach.
Yes.
I remember EJ came in through the door
Okay.
in our kitchen, and it was like 9:00 at night. He'd been working with like intensive outpatient eating disorder clients all day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yes.
Take these, right? And I was like, something is not okay. Like, I am becoming a hateful, rageful person, and that is not my heart at all. And I said, EJ, when I say burnt toast is our code word.
Okay.
Burnt toast, why? Why do you think? Because I would go back to that toaster because I forget it was in there because I got so busy. They're like, oh, I forgot there's toast in there.
There's toast in
and then
there,
I'd do it again to warm it, and then I'd forget again, and I'm like, shoot, and I don't want to eat cold toast.
Okay.
I said, EJ, when I say burnt toast, that means I'm not good. I'm not good for me. I'm not good for you. I'm not good for our kids. I'm not good for our dogs. I'm like, I'm going to take a respite. So sometimes he would be like, I'm going to take all the kids and we'll go out for a walk in the desert. Or, hey, T, you go. You know, they follow you to the bathroom.
Yeah. They're
Can't
always
even
there.
take a shower.
Yeah, you're like, wait,
He's like, go lock
give me a
yourself.
second. Yeah.
Go lock yourself in the bedroom, read an Us magazine. Like, he was super supportive.
Okay.
So I started taking accountability for my anger.
That's good.
And my resentment. So one of the very first things we do with our couples is they have to develop a code word. Yeah. How will we know when we're out of our window of tolerance so we don't keep doing this and re-traumatizing what already feels bad?
That's good.
And burnt toast, like I use it very rarely now because you just start to get in this rhythm of being healthier and more aware. But burnt toast, I mean.
Yeah, basically what that is we're teaching couples very early on that you cannot stay in a moment where you're both emotionally dysregulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that if your fight, flight, freeze, fawn is up and the other person's is up, there's no way it's going to go good. And that's when you do like real damage. You know, that's when you say like horrible things to each other.
Stuff you're like, I cannot believe that just came out of my mouth.
Yes. And so we try, that's one of the very
But
first
it feels so good at the time, but it's so bad.
Oh, it's so righteous, right?
It's so
like,
righteous, but it is so damaging.
Oh, it really is.
Yes.
So we say, let's just start there. Like take some accountability for your nervous system and let's regulate and let's just get into a window where you can be like, here's what's happening. And then from there, once couples are able to get space from that, we started to develop what's called we call it couples cognitive restructuring.
Okay.
But like EJ would trigger me and I'm like, how could he? So can I just give you an example?
Totally.
It's so stupid.
Please do. Yes.
So he wanted to take our dogs in the brand new car we got from this other milk-soaked, puke-soaked minivan.
Okay.
And he wanted to take our dogs to go to the groomer. And I was like, how could you absolutely want to take our dogs in our brand new car
Yes. And from my side, it's like, I'm going to take the dogs. And all of a sudden she is like enraged at me.
Yes.
The easiest thing for me to do is be like, you are crazy.
Right.
Like, I don't know what's going on with you.
But
instead we pause.
We paused and
we
I was
go
like,
away. Tara does this.
It's a little restructuring. I was like, okay, here's the incident. EJ says he's taking the dogs in our brand new car.
Okay.
Here are my thoughts. What a jerk. What a dipshit. Like,
dare
how
him?
can he not? I mean, talking the most rawest things that you would never say.
Yeah.
The feelings are like mad, confused, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
All the feelings. The behavior, I yell at him. I'm like, absolutely. So now I look like a rigid OCD person. And then I go into the negative core beliefs, which take a little bit of time to get there. But because I'm a therapist and I know all the ways to kind of go deeper at times, it came to this like, I'm insignificant and I don't matter. Because if I was significant, he would know that having a clean car, just 1 out of 2, is really important.
Right.
And then I came back to it. I was like, oh my gosh, like you wanting to take the dogs in our car actually led me to this old place of I'm insignificant when I was 8 years old. And my dad decided he didn't ever want to come back for us. Like something so little about the car and dogs led back to this negative, powerless feeling when I'm a little girl. And so I got to start sharing with him, like I feel insignificant or I feel invisible. And then now I'm my adult self and I can do a positive restructuring. Like I can handle it. I am visible. I am significant. EJ will be like, absolutely you are. But like until you really understand how old your core beliefs are that are being triggered by your partner. I just thought he just kept doing it to annoy the crap out of me. But that is like the shift that couples make, because you have to build rapport to get them to that place where they're willing to look at like, how old was I when I started to believe when I'm not safe?
Well, and
something's wrong
starting
with
a
me.
process that like when there's conflict, you stop.
Yeah.
And then instead of going away and being like, she is crazy, what is her problem?
That's what
and
he
just
would do.
Instead of that, I want to hold up a mirror. I want to look internally and be like, okay, what's going on for me? Because that's the only control I have, is understanding myself better, being able to communicate it in a kind, respectful way.
Yeah.
And then also like beginning to build empathy back. Because that's the other thing. The couples come into us and their empathy is gone.
It's gone.
They don't. And that's why we also take them through like a genogram and a timeline and really help them both look at their past, but also see their partner's past. And maybe they know it, but the way that we explore it, they learn about it in a different way.
That was the
and
question.
And then all of a sudden they're just like, oh my God, like this is just a person. Like
I'm not the sole cause of their suffering.
Yeah, like I mean that's been huge for me.
That's huge because well, let me ask you guys this. When it comes to our past and it comes to, the trauma that we've experienced, some experience the trauma, during their childhood, some experience, the trauma later on, with an adult relationship. There's so many levels here.
So many levels.
How does that really play an effect in our romantic relationships?
Well, go ahead.
For me, and for a lot of couples we work with, it's this feeling of I'm not safe right now.
Yep.
Even though there's not this physical, maybe aggression happening, or there's a feeling of I'm not safe. When EJ would his little eyes would dart at me a certain way, I was like, I don't feel safe.
Yes. Talk about this. This is good.
And so couples start to see each other as a threat, right? Because now I'm on guard. Like if you look away and if I see you feeling defensive, like I don't feel safe. So now you're a threat to me. So now I'm going to block you out completely because I'm terrified of what could happen if I don't see you as a threat. Right. And so EJ would be like, what do you mean you don't feel safe with me? I'm like the kindest guy ever. I'm like, oh, but I can feel, I have that like extra sensory
feeling.
Yes.
And
well, it's a combination of seeing aspects of me, but it's also a trigger from other times that you've been unsafe. So it's
from your childhood.
Yeah,
well, and then what we started to learn about almost all of the couples we work with and with us is that we had never had a secure foundation. You're supposed to build a secure attachment with your primary caregivers, right?
Yep.
My mom is very mentally ill. My sister and I were physically neglected, abused, and starved.
Where did you grow up? Let's talk about
Indiana.
that. Okay, so you grew up in Indiana. You grew up with your mom and your dad, or just your mom?
My mom and my dad and so my mom had twins when she was 18.
Okay.
She was 18. Didn't know she was having twins. My dad and her were dating. So we had weekend visits with him until we were 8, and he had gotten remarried and had 4 other daughters.
Okay.
And then my mom remarried my stepdad when I was 4.
Okay.
And, let's just say my stepdad, just alcoholic, abusive in every kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom just get out of the house, don't come back until it's dark out, and just like not even food for thought for food or no protection.
No protection.
At all.
So you weren't safe.
I was not safe.
Yeah.
But I would always keep my twin and I safe. Like I started working when I was 8 years old. I was mopping floors.
Oh
I would
goodness.
earn money. I would go get us hot dogs down at the 7-Eleven or whatever the convenience store was. So I always thought in my mind, like I'm this really resilient person and I'm like a really good picker of guys.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just like leave after a few years because they get boring.
Okay.
But little did I know, like I was avoiding true like connection because I had never had that security. So if things ever felt unsafe, like someone was like, oh, like they feel boring to me, that was actually secure. But I was like, no, it needs to be constantly like energetic and full of emotion. And if it's not, like I've got to leave, right? So when I guess the long story short is like, I realized like that I didn't feel safe for many reasons, and that EJ started to explore his childhood stuff. that he didn't ever have that safety. So we would just constantly trigger each other's
You guys,
nervous systems.
yes.
And the nervous system doesn't know if you're 48 or 8.
I know.
It knows the feeling.
Yep.
And so when we're working with couples around like attachment pieces, it's like for the first time ever, they're working on building a secure attachment, which just means this for me. I can be whoever it is. I can be big emotions, small emotions. I can make mistakes, and there's not a threat to our relationship. Like I am loved completely. That's secure attachment. But when people don't have that, there's always a threat, right?
That's where the threat comes, where you
feel. So
yep.
EJ and I can have our fights, but I have this very like core trust and safety now that we're going to be okay. No matter what.
That's the work right there.
That's the work, but it wasn't. So when couples come in, they don't have, it's a constant threat. We have to make agreements. You cannot say we're going to divorce each other if you do this one more time, because it takes a minute to build. It took 20 years to look like this. It's going to take a few months to unravel this. You've got to be patient with this. Like that's the biggest thing.
That's
Couples
so
are like,
good.
how do you know this is going to work? And we're like, we don't. But we know that you're in a place of like not a lot of clarity right now, in a place of fear.
Well, I think that's like the other thing that couples struggle with is just like having the time and space to do this work, because you can't half-ass it. Like you
have to go in.
Yeah, you have to go in. You have to talk consistently. You have to try things out. You have to not get it right.
Yep.
And
It's
you can
clunky.
you can make fundamental. I mean, we've seen like what you consider the worst of the worst in relationship. Within reason.
Yeah.
Like not abuse, but
Not
like
abuse, yes.
but infidelity and emotional avoidance and all of that.
Gaslighting
And when
all of it.
people really like stick in it, take risks, they can shift and they can become
shift.
happier, and they can get over really damaging things that happened within their relationship. There are like stuff though, like, obviously.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Tucson, and then my dad got a job like in 6th grade in Kingman, Arizona, northern Arizona.
And did you grow with mom and dad?
Yeah.
Did your parents stay married, or did your parents?
Yeah, they've been married. Yeah, they're like kind of your
53
traditional. They've been married 53 years. Dad was in the Air Force, and then he was a banker. Mom was home. I had a younger sister. She was like 10 years younger than me. She passed away like right when we got together.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just you and your sister.
It's just me and my sister. And, it was... It's funny. My parents, I'm like unraveling that my parents were like, we're normal. Everybody else is abnormal.
Yeah. Well, everyone's normal for their normal, right? Like we grow up and we have our own perspective based on how we grew up. We're like,
and I'm unraveling as a 52-year-old.
Yeah.
That actually some of our dynamics aren't very normal.
Right.
They weren't normal then, and they're not normal now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were functionally dysfunctional. My parents were really like wonderful, loving people, but they got married when they were super young. And they, my mom has tolerated a lot with
your dad.
My dad's a tough guy.
Right.
He's a loving guy, but he's a tough guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you think, like, when you used to see, and I don't know if you even thought about this, or maybe later on when you got older, did you think when you looked at their marriage, did you think, oh, that's a really healthy, good marriage? Or you're like, oh, I'm going to do the opposite of that?
That's a tough one. Like, it was, I think I did. I think because the story has always been, this is a great marriage. And I think it is in a lot of ways. I mean, they got really close, especially when my sister died. Like, they went through that, and that was really horrible for them. And they would have, they would get into one argument a year, and it was a barnstorm. It was like mom's taking the kids, and
it's a big deal.
Yeah, they would get into one argument a year, and it was always a little scary.
Yeah.
It wasn't like physical or anything, but it was loud.
It was scary, yeah.
And then it would be over, and that's a little my family. Yeah, there was no talking.
No talking. Okay.
No talking.
We didn't talk.
Yeah, and me and my dad had a ton of conflict from when I was very young. I just was horrible in school. I just didn't do well, and that was like created tons of conflict.
Yeah.
And
well, so then when we would get into our arguments, like his negative core belief is like, I can't be me. But I'm like, yes, you can.
Or I can't get it right, because I was just like, I
can't
didn't
get it
want to
right.
screw up in school. I didn't want to ignite his anger, but I inevitably would do it. So it just would feel. And then I was really good at, like, when he'd get pissed, I I could just sit there and
Yeah.
stare it down. And so I could do that with Tara.
You could do that with
I
Tara.
can just like sit there and be like,
That's what he
you
would
could
do.
go ahead, you give it to me, yell, be mad.
And that would just make you more crazy.
Well, that,
right?
but the biggest thing for me and my trauma, like nobody protected me.
Yes.
My mom didn't. My dad's left. And I was just like hoping I would have one person to protect me and not be defensive. And I think I have to do that for myself. Like EJ could never be the dad that I never had, but I yearn for like protection. And I've recognized through all of my work, I can only protect myself. And that EJ is trying really hard as much as he can. But I think so many people with like abandonment issues, especially females, want that teddy bear protector, like that everything will be taken care of. Like I still crave that. And I know that's my little girl who totally didn't get that, because I think of my 2 kids out there and what would have happened if like both of their dads just left them in this god awful place and never even tried to come back for them. I'm like, what would happen? I really try to have that like compassion and grace for myself, you know, but I know now, like I used to get so angry at EJ because I just wanted him to protect me. Like, why are you getting mad that I'm mad? Like, just be like, it's going to be okay, baby. But because he hadn't worked through his stuff either, he would freeze. And so we're both in like fight, freeze, fawn, whatever situations it is when conflict happens. And we just see that with so many couples. So I feel like, okay, we're not uniquely broken, you know, but that you have to be able to like know that I'm safe now and that I can't expect EJ to have all these behaviors to create that safety.
Do you know what you just said though? Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because I think that for so many, EJ, for so many of us women, and especially, you know, depending on our relationship with our dads. And even though myself, I love my dad's cool, but he was a gypsy. He loved women and he was always gone.
Yeah.
So I really never had that type of relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I have been longing for the same thing. It's interesting how you said it, because that's exactly how I felt. Mm-hmm. I just wanted a man to just come and just like, I got you, girl. Yes. And just for me to be like, yes, you know, and just fall into my little girl and him protect me, because I felt like I wasn't protected either.
Yeah.
And I felt like
inconsistent
it was inconsistent. And I had one of those really, really bad stepfathers that was very abusive.
Yeah.
And so I found myself constantly needing that from the opposite sex, constantly needing that protection. Yeah. But I would find myself also with men that would just completely check out. Like I was almost, I was too much in a way, too much. And so when you said that, and for ladies that are listening, because that really resonated with me, very much so. What is something that is so important that we can do for ourselves? Because I know that that's true. You are not going to get that necessarily from our men. You know, we can have certain type of protection, but this is deeper. This is a more deeper internal thing. Yeah. What has helped you?
For me, it's like, I just think of God. Like, he's the father I never had. And so I try to talk to him and imagine like how his love is for me would have been if I was little. And I feel like that's enough, because then I have grace and love for myself, and I start to feel what it's like with his love to feel safe. And then I know EJ's doing his best.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But I
sure
wasn't in touch with that. I wasn't in
Yes.
touch spiritually until more recently. Like, I always knew there was something, but now for me, it's just, I just get that fatherly love from God. And I talk to him, like I do hot yoga like 4 or 5 times a week. And when I'm in Shavasana, like that's my like time to talk with him and feel his like love and embrace. And it's just pretty powerful. So I feel like that's been one of the things that has helped me heal. And then even before that, like when I didn't really feel that internalization of that,
I would just know that I was deserving of love, that I'm a really good human. And I just had that belief, like, I deserve
Great
good love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With
and
a great guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had to I just didn't understand it. I mean, I had my own stuff for sure about being present, but it took us a while. I mean, there was a whole journey of I knew Tara had always described there a moment or two that had happened that were bad from her childhood.
Yeah.
But then we had a process just a few years ago where kind of the doors got blown open of what it actually was. And that was, that was life-changing just to know your partner. 'Cause especially when you have a daughter too, and you know what a 5, a 6, a 8-year-old girl is.
Yeah.
And knowing what happened is I remember that. I do my best when we're having a really difficult moment, and I just sometimes, and 50-60% of women have been sexually assaulted by the time they're 18 or 20 or something, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of men are dealing with this, or not dealing. A lot of men are
in the
in
situation.
relationships
Yes.
with person, and so there were just times where I just I didn't understand why she was so mad, and why she was so activated. And now it's now it makes sense. Now it's okay, that. So I can walk myself through thought process of first of all, I have to start with me. You can handle this. Then with her, she's suffering. This may not look like suffering, but this is suffering. And so I'm better equipped to not go away or not retaliate, because when something really mean would be said, it would be what's going on? And then, the inner child of me who couldn't yell back when he was a kid wants to yell back
Correct.
to her. And so it's no, I can't do that. But that was huge for me, just understanding what really she'd been through. And then we had a moment talking about this not too long ago of then seeing her as incredibly strong versus at times I would be I wouldn't think positive things in that moment, because I'd be what is wrong?
What's going on?
What the hell is going on? This doesn't even make sense. And that's part of what couples have to do, is you have to, Dr. Stan Takin talks about this idea of you have to become an expert in your partner. Yeah. And I feel like I'm a much more of an expert, maybe not quite, but I'm
How's he
working
doing,
towards
Mama?
it.
How's he doing?
Doing really well.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think you're
and that's the thing too, because we're you guys, when couples go through our approach, it's not you guys aren't going to fight, but intensity decreases, frequency decreases, duration decreases. So we'll have an argument. Yesterday, we got heated.
Yeah.
But within an hour, we were okay, this is what we learned from that. That was uncomfortable, but it's okay that it happened.
Because there's new challenges. We don't have twins anymore. We have twins, but we don't have baby twins.
Yeah, baby twins.
But we have perimenopause.
Right.
And so it's and then yeah, so it's
I feel like I'm channeling your wife
exactly.
right now. Seriously.
So there's new challenges. They're not going away.
You know what though? This is what I want people to hear right now, because this has been really powerful, is that you two are speaking truth and from your heart in real life. This is real life. Yeah. This is real life, you guys. This is, we all go through, like we said when I started earlier, we all go through some really hard things in life, and how that can actually affect ourselves and, and how we give ourselves grace and how we give ourselves love, and how that can affect our relationships. But one thing that I love is that this can actually shift. Things can actually shift. We can actually grow. We can actually heal. Yep. And just because you guys, like we said earlier in the podcast, you guys were in love, everything was great, everything's, then all of a sudden she's like, it's a lot. I got the babies and the this and that. It's a lot. And you're working a lot and everyone's working a lot. And you guys really started struggling and things started coming up. Yeah. A lot of things started coming up, and that's hard. Yeah. But look what you guys have done. Seriously.
I feel so proud.
Just feel so grateful, you guys, because you guys have persevered. You guys have been through so much.
Yeah.
And now you guys have developed something.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's
you are so
that is
yummy.
That is pretty cool.
That is, I mean, seriously, let's take a moment here.
We get letters. We just see couples in our parking lot hugging and kissing, or a letter from somebody. We had one letter where a woman was just saying, like, look, we had gone to therapists for like 15 years, and we started listening to your podcast. I got my husband to listen to it. And now our relationship is better than ever. Our kids have told us that they're happier and they notice we're better. It's just like, that's crazy that you can do that you can help people.
And that parents have kids that now have code words for like when they're doing homework and stuff, like, hey, Tara, although my husband and I have our code word, but we also have code words now for all of our kids. Like, it's just like the little thing, like in that moment of suffering in the kitchen and stupid burnt toast.
Yes.
And now it is helping relationships like globally, whether it's with your partner or even kids. Like, I know Mia's freaking Taylor Swift red code red. When she's like, right, when we're getting into the power struggle with math.
Yeah.
You know, she has her little Taylor Swift.
Yeah, her Taylor Swift.
Yes. But it helps. Like, we all take a break. We don't engage in the power struggle because no one wins.
Right.
But yeah, and like you said, like, not everybody's meant for one another, but if you do the work, you at least gain more clarity.
Yes.
You know, and that's, you know, I am my best self because of EJ's triggers.
Yes.
That's why I get super excited when we do fight, because I'm like, what can I learn? But most
what
people
can I learn
like,
about myself?
Most people are like, you're crazy, Tara. Like, people, every couple, I know we're probably running out of time, but when EJ and I, like 2 years in after doing this, like couples would come in like right in the middle and they'd be like, we're done. And I'm like, okay, well, just give it a couple more weeks. But we identify this thing called the messy middle.
Okay.
Like, as soon as things are starting to shift, although there's been dysfunction for years, people don't want to change. They want to go back. It's like the slow.
You're used, even if it's chaos, you're used to that. Your nervous system's
homeostasis. And I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, so now in the first session, I'm like, there's this thing that's going to happen, and here's a handout of it. Because I'm going to remind you of this handout in about 3 months when you don't want to come back.
Yeah, yeah.
That is the moment where everything changes. That's when the shift happens, because you actually get past that and you start to build a new level of functioning. And so when couples, I get so excited when the messy middle happens. Like, when they come in, they're like, we're done. I'm like, it's happening.
It's happening. You guys are making this
And then they stay because they're convinced, because I've done this long enough to know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, so much of this is unconscious. But when you do the work, you bring the unconscious to the conscious, and then you have faith and you build trust that your partner has like their best for you, not he doesn't want to make me miserable. He didn't do this to me on purpose.
Correct. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, he wants. Well, let me finish with something here too. This is so good, you guys. What's your favorite thing about her?
I mean, other than her beautiful eyes, just her vibrance, like how much she cares about really the happiness of other people. It's also what drives me crazy, which is always interesting, is she puts other people ahead of herself. Like every kid in our neighborhood wants to spend the night at our house. Like, she gives and gives. Queen. And she's just radiant. I love her radiance and just how much she loves love.
I'm living the childhood through my kids that I couldn't have.
I love that.
Sleepovers.
What's your favorite thing about him?
His integrity. Like, just have never, like, everyone that meets EJ, like, in such good care. He's just a man of integrity, wisdom, virtue.
Oh, you two are just too cute. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, he's a great man.
Seriously, you guys, how long you been married?
11 years.
3, 9, 13.
11
12
years.
In
the 12 years.
12 years.
And I know we got the twins out there. And how old are the twins?
11.
11 years old, right? Yeah. How is marriage now?
It's we're closer than we've ever been. We're facing challenges still. I mean, it's
but it's not like
we get over
like,
it.
We're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, perimenopause is a whole other thing.
Oh, like, you come back. Let's have that conversation. Yes, seriously.
I mean, even my kids are like, Mom, when is this shit over?
Yeah, I know. You know what? Yeah. That's not going to be over. That's going to take some moment.
But do you know that what is it? 50% of women leave their husbands during perimenopause.
Wow.
So we have the skills now to deal with this. So yeah.
Okay.
So we're awesome, and we're just keep transitioning to all the transitions and keep talking about it. Even
I think I really honestly, even though we were, you never get that honeymoon period back, right?
Yeah.
But I really truly believe we're closer than we've ever been now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing,
We're
you
resilient.
guys.
We're
Okay,
helpful.
so how do they get into your world? Seriously, I just feel like this is probably the fastest interview I've ever had. I'm like, what is going on? But how do they get into their world? How do they find your podcast? What's the best place that they can reach you guys?
Relationship Renovation.
Okay.
I think if you do a search, just Google it. You'll find our website has both links to if you are in Arizona, like to our in office programming, but then we have a at-home program that couples can do, and there's a link where they can download a free lesson and just check it out. It has like videos and things to do with your partner at home, and then the podcast and YouTube, just Relationship Renovation.
Oh my goodness. Did you guys hear that? Like seriously. And if you guys have any downloads or anything that they can what can we put in the show notes?
I would say email info@relationshiprenovation.com, and whatever people need. Like that's my people pleasing right there. But but in terms, like we have an awesome like office manager, John, who's super helpful, and we're just always trying to help anybody that reaches out. So I can send them the cognitive restructuring stuff. I can send
fantastic.
Yeah. So
okay, you guys.
Just have them reach out, and they will reach out to me.
This. You guys, and I know that we're wrapping up here, and I'm telling you, I'm not playing with you right now. I'm not playing with you. I actually don't want to finish right now. I was ready for, the round 2, but I know we have to get off. Is there anything that, now that was such a powerful, thank you guys. No, seriously, that was incredible. I think it's exactly what a lot of us needed to hear today. I loved how you guys really helped us understand that, sometimes, when it comes to relationship stuff, there's tools.
Yeah.
There's tools. Like we're not taught this stuff. We're not taught like you guys, you can have love for one another and you can fall in love.
Don't know how to
be great and all that. Oh, there you go.
We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to
communicate, all that stuff. But isn't that stuff that you can learn?
And I say this, and people think I'm crazy when I say this, but I'm like, so many people see their partner as the source of their suffering. And I'm like, see them as the source of your growth. Because EJ's like my blind spot that I can't see. And I trust that he...
There's definitely my blind spot.
Yes.
It's a glaring blind
spot. And instead of looking at your partner as a source of suffering, like, how can I grow from this? That is... If it's safe, obviously.
Yes.
There are relationships that are not safe, and so we wouldn't recommend that.
Yes. I love that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you
so much.
and for doing what you do.
Thank you so much. And to next time, cheers.
Cheers.
To great love.
Great love.
Thank you. Let's talk about the tip of the week, which is so many couples come to a point where they wonder, where did the spark go? But what they're really asking is, where did the connection go? This week's tip is this. You can't reconnect without emotional safety, and emotional safety comes from consistent, intentional communication. That means asking questions like, how are you really feeling today? Listening without judging, or trying to fix or trying to defend. Making space, even for uncomfortable truths, without judgment. You don't need hours of therapy to start reconnecting. You just need to show your partner that it's safe to be themselves with you again and again. Whether you're raising kids, navigating stress, or just feeling off, connection isn't lost forever. It just needs to be rebuilt, one conversation at a time. That's a wrap. Wow. What a raw and real conversation with Tarah and EJ Kerwin, founders of Relationship Renovation. From navigating step parenting and twins to nearly losing their connection, they shared how love alone isn't enough. Couples need tools. They opened up about childhood wounds, communication breakdowns, and the resentment that builds when life gets overwhelming. But instead of giving up, they created a path forward, not just for themselves, but for other couples too. This episode is a reminder that your relationship isn't broken. You just haven't been taught how to repair it. And when you have the tools, you can find your way back to one another. Wow. Thank you, Tarah and EJ, for such an incredible conversation. If you're loving these podcasts and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.